Alright, we're here for WCW. We're doing the Fall Brawl episode, and we're on the pre-show. Chuck Palumbo, one-off appearance versus AJ Styles, and AJ gets the win in 6:28. AJ, being borrowed from developmental for this appearance. Trying to start to build him up because he's decent in the ring, so 42. Kendrick and London team up next, face off against the Young Dragons, and Kasayashi pins Paul London with a handful of tights. Kendrick and London have great chemistry, which is pretty great. Kendrick pulls a 41 here, which is not bad. So 47. We open the show with Goldberg and Lance Storm exchanging words. Goldberg is pissed, of course, that Lance Storm got himself disqualified, and he will get his vengeance against Lance Storm. 71 right here. DDP comes out next and issues his open challenge for the TV title, as always, and it is answered by Evan Courageous. DDP retains the television championship against Courageous tonight. A good match right here. Kevin Nash comes out, cuts a promo, and now comes Shane Douglas. These two will face off for the United States Championship at Fall Brawl. So a 66 right here. Backstage with the Second City Saints, and they're having an argument. CM Punk is angry that Ace Steel and Colt Cabana drank a little bit before their match, and that's probably what cost them the tag titles against the Steiners. Punk is not happy about that. 29. And then he tells him, I'm going to go show you how it's done. He comes out, beats Alex Wright with the Pepsi Plunge. Afterwards, Jeremy Borash interviews CM Punk, and he says, alcohol is the root of all evil. Cabana and Steel should have known better, and they need to be straight edge like me. 49. Steiner's going to promo. Out comes Psycho Smile. We're going to see Norman Smiley versus Rick Steiner next week on Nitro. These two teams are facing off as well at Fall Brawl for the tag title. 54. Goldberg and Rey Mysterio take on Team Canada. This was booked last week by WCW President Eric Bischoff. And Goldberg and Rey actually have excellent chemistry together. And they get the win tonight against Storm, Eric Young, and Robert Roode. Young eating the pinfall from Rey Mysterio. So an 80 right here. Backstage, Shane Douglas attacks Kevin Nash with the use of a lead pipe. Smacks him in the back and then beats him a little bit more. So a 45 right here. And then we get our main event, six-way. Winner gets a world title shot at a later date. Booker T wins with the scissors kick, beating Jeff Jarrett. And Booker T earns himself a title shot. And then after the match, we get a little bit of a stare down between Booker T and Goldberg. Just to say, Goldberg is still the number one contender, but Booker T has a title shot in his back pocket. So, we end the show with the 76. Not too bad. Making a nice profit. Alright. Pretty decent show. Two big matches on the card, which definitely helped. So, yeah, we'll be back in just one moment with next week's Nitro, which it will be the Go Home Nitro to Fall Brawl, which is coming up at the end of the month. So I'll be right back in just one moment. We're on the Go Home Nitro. We're opening the show with a big promo. Storm, Awesome, Flair, Sting, Jarrett, Goldberg, Booker, Canyon, all exchanging words. And Eric Bischoff comes out, announces two tag matches tonight. It's going to be Booker T teaming with Goldberg in the main event versus Jeff Jarrett and Mike Awesome. And Ric Flair will team with Sting against Chris Canyon and Lance Storm. There you go. 58. DDP, once again, open challenge. Out comes Shannon Moore, and he beats him with the Diamond Cutter. DDP continues his open challenge and continues to get the win. 64. Jeremy Borash interviews DDP, and Billy Kidman interrupts, and it looks like Kidman challenges DDP to a TV title match at Fall Brawl. So 52. Rick Steiner and Norman Smiley have a decent match here. Rick Steiner gets the win with the Steiner Driver and gets a 71. Not too bad. Tag team titles on the line this Sunday. Second City Saints argue backstage. Punk, of course. Ace Steel and Colt Cabana upset with Punk's comments last week. So a little bit of tension in Second City Saints. Chris Candido cuts a promo. Out comes Eric Bischoff, and he announces at Fall Brawl will be a 15-man, or a 20-man battle royal with the winner receiving a Cruiserweight title shot against Chris Candido the next night on Nitro. 50. Ric Flair and Sting take on Storm and Canyon, and Storm and Canyon have excellent chemistry, which is good to see. And Storm beats Ric Flair with a handful of tights. The world champion looks strong on tonight's Nitro. An 80 right here. Shane Douglas gets promo. Out comes Kevin Nash. They exchange words, and then Bam Bam Bigelow attacks Kevin Nash and then powerbombs him through the stage. So a 60 right here. Rey Mysterio is talking to Eric Bischoff backstage, and Bischoff tells Rey that he gets a world title shot against whoever the world champion is at the next Clash of the Champions show, which is in 2 weeks from now, I think. Yes, 69. And our main event, Booker T and Goldberg get the win when Goldberg pins Jeff Jarrett with the jackhammer. And afterwards, all 8 men brawl 4-on-4, and then Eric Bischoff comes out and he announces, you know what, I have a good way to solve this. At Fall Brawl, it's going to be War Games. So we're getting War Games at Fall Brawl. Booker T teaming with Goldberg, with Ric Flair and Sting versus Awesome, Storm, Jarrett, and Canyon. 71 to end the show with a 73. And we'll be right back in just one moment with Fall Brawl. A pretty good card for Fall Brawl. Tag titles, Steiners versus Psycho Smile, Norman Smiley and Psychosis. We get Cruiserweight Battle Royal with 20 Man. We get DDP versus Billy Kidman. And we get Kevin Nash versus Shane Douglas. And in our main event, we get a War Games match. So I'll be right back in just one moment with that. Alright, we're here for Fall Brawl. 5 matches on the card tonight. The television title, the tag title, the US title, a Cruiserweight Battle Royal that opens the show, and of course, our main event, a War Games match. We're opening the show with commentary. Running down the card, the Cruiserweight is up first. And Cash makes his debut and wins the Battle Royal. Kid Cash from ECW, his contract came up, and I signed him. So he wins the Battle Royal, beating out the likes of Ace Steel, AJ Styles, Alex Wright, Amazing Red, Chavo, Christian York, Christopher Daniels, CM Punk, Colt Cabana, Eric Young, Evan Courageous, Joey Matthews, a bunch of other guys. Here are the eliminations if you care about that. It's important that I mention that CM Punk eliminates Ace Steel and Colt Cabana in this match. They're like trying to eliminate somebody. They try to eliminate like Eric Young or somebody. I don't know. AJ Styles maybe. Or Alex Wright. They're trying to eliminate him, and CM Punk comes up from behind him, tries to toss them out, and tosses both these guys out, and not the guy who was trying to eliminate. So, 62. Steiner Brothers versus Psycho Smile is up next. Scott Steiner defeats Psychosis with the Steiner Recliner, which means the Steiners retain the World Tag Team titles. And Psychosis and Norman Smiley actually pull out a great performance here over the Steiners, actually outshining them. So maybe Psycho Smile have a future as tag team champions. 73. Kevin Nash versus Shane Douglas is up next, and Shane Douglas manages to get the U.S. title after a distraction from Bigelow and Chris Candido. They come down. Shane Douglas reaches into his trunks, pulls out a pair of brass knuckles, and smashes Kevin Nash in the face with the brass knuckles, and so Shane Douglas is the United States champion. 64. Billy Kidman versus DDP is up next. DDP manages to get Kidman into the Diamond Cutter. Kidman goes for the Shooting Star Press. DDP moves out of the way, and when Kidman gets up, DDP runs up from behind him, hits him with the Diamond Cutter, and 1, 2, 3, DDP retains the television title. So a 78 right here. And then we get the War Games match. Pulls out an 82, that's not too bad. Goldberg, Booker, Sting, and Flair get the win over Storm, Canyon, Awesome, and Jarrett when Booker pinned Mike Awesome with the scissors kick. And a good match right here. An 82. We're not going to complain about that. Storm is looking forward to his title defense against Rey Mysterio for the world title at Clash of the Champions coming up. And Goldberg also has another opportunity at Storm. And Booker has a world title match opportunity as well. So Storm right now is in some hot water. 78. So let's tell Booker T, Lance Storm, and Billy Kidman. Good job. Kidman actually had a pretty good performance. So there we go. We're not doing media scrums. Don West. I would love to have Don West. I might look into, when I'm done with Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan, bring in Don West and bring back Mike Tenay and do the old TNA commentary table. Because I like Don West. I think he was very energetic. Alright. Let's look at what we've got here. Alright, Fall Brawl rose in importance. Mr. Ass. So re-signed. Billy Gunn. I'm not shelling out that kind of money for Billy Gunn. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. I mean, I like Billy Gunn, but that's not happening. Alright. Pretty successful episode of WCW. Chris Candido defends the title against Cash next week next episode on Nitro. DDP continues his open challenge. U.S. champion is now Shane Douglas. World champion still Lance Storm. And the tag titles still around the waist of the Steiner brothers. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. And goodbye.